The bottle shattered against the brick wall of the rooftop bar, shards exploding like fireworks in the humid Manhattan night, and I felt the first warm trickle of blood down my temple before the scream even left my throat. "Nathaniel! You idiot! Why the hell did you have to go and say it?" Eric's voice cracked like thunder, his broad shoulders heaving as he loomed over me, fists clenched at his sides, the city skyline blurring behind him in a haze of regret and rage. In that split second, as the partygoers froze in stunned silence, I realized the birthday gift he just shoved into my hands, a worn leather journal inscribed with my name in his jagged handwriting, wasn't wrapping paper for a joke. It was the key to a door we'd both pretended didn't exist for years. I'd known Eric since freshman year at NYU, back when we were both wide-eyed kids from the suburbs chasing dreams in the concrete jungle. He was the golden boy, star quarterback in high school, now grinding through architecture classes with that easy grin that made professors overlook his half-assed blueprints. Straight as an arrow, or so everyone said, dates with sorority girls, bro weekends in the Hamptons, the kind of life that screamed all-American hetero. Me, Nathaniel Hayes, theater major with a penchant for indie films and too many feelings, the gay kid who hid crushes behind sarcasm and craft cocktails. We clicked over late-night ramen in the dorms, bonding over our shared hatred of pretentious art critiques and our love for Springsteen blasting from his beat-up Jeep. Friendship like that doesn't come with labels. It just is. By senior year, we'd upgraded to a cramped walk-up in Brooklyn, splitting rent on a place with peeling wallpaper and a fire escape that doubled as our smoking lounge. Eric's girlfriends came and went, blondes mostly, with yoga-toned bodies and trust funds, but I'd play wingman, cracking jokes at dive bars while nursing my own quiet ache. He never knew, or if he did, he buried it under layers of denial. "You're my brother, Nate," he'd say, slinging an arm around my shoulders after one too many beers, his cologne mixing with the faint scent of sawdust from his part-time construction gigs. I'd nod, swallow the lump in my throat, and steer us toward the next round. Graduation hit like a freight train. Eric landed a junior role at a midtown firm, sketching skyscrapers that pierced the clouds, while I scraped by directing off-Broadway plays that closed after 2 nights. Our friendship stretched thin but never snapped. Friday nights at the Rusty Nail, a hole in the wall in the East Village where the jukebox favored Tom Waits and the bartenders didn't ask questions. That's where the journal came from, or at least, where the idea of it was born. One rainy evening last fall, after I'd bombed an audition for a queer rom-com pilot, Eric found me slumped at our usual booth, drowning sorrows in whiskey sours. "Spill it, Hayes," he demanded, sliding into the seat across from me, his work boots thudding against the scarred wood floor. His tie was loosened, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded from hauling lumber, and for a moment, I forgot how to breathe. I shrugged, staring into the amber swirl of my drink. Just another rejection. "Too emotional," they said. "Like that's a bad thing." He leaned forward, those blue eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my pulse stutter. "Emotional's your superpower, man. You feel shit deeper than anyone I know. Write it down, get it out. Hell, I'll get you a journal for your birthday. Something real, not that cheap crap." I laughed it off, but the words stuck, burrowing into the soft spots I'd armored over. Eric always did that, saw through the bullshit without trying. By the time my 28th rolled around, I'd half forgotten the promise, buried under the grind of temp jobs and auditions that led nowhere. But Eric, he remembered. The party was his idea, A low-key bash at Luna's rooftop, that swanky spot overlooking the Hudson where 20-somethings pretended they had it all figured out. Our crew showed up. My theater buddies in ironic graphic tees, his architect pals nursing IPAs and debating sustainable steel. The air buzzed with laughter, fairy lights strung like stars against the dusk, and for once, I let myself relax. 30 loomed like a shadow, but tonight, with a gin fizz in hand and Eric's playlist thumping, Springsteen into Hosier, I felt almost invincible. He cornered me around 10, just as the cake came out, a lopsided chocolate monstrosity with "Happy Birthday, you dramatic bastard" scrawled in icing. The group sang off-key, and I blew out the candles with a theatrical flourish, wishing for the usual, a break, a roll, a love that didn't end in ghosting. Then Eric was there, pressing a wrapped package into my palm, his calloused fingers brushing mine a beat too long. "Open it later," he muttered, but his voice had that gravelly edge, the one that meant he was holding something back. The night blurred into shots and stories, but the journal burned a hole in my pocket. By midnight, as the crowd thinned, I slipped away to the edge of the rooftop, the city humming below like a living beast. Unwrapping it under the faint glow of my phone light, I traced the embossed cover, Nathaniel Hayes, for the stories only you can tell. Inside, the first page wasn't blank. Eric's handwriting filled it, slanted and urgent. "Nate, you've been my anchor in this storm of a city. These pages are for the truths we don't say. Happy birthday, brother. Don't let the world dim that fire." My chest tightened, a flood of unspoken things rising like bile. The truths we don't say. God, if he only knew. I was about to snap a photo to text him. Cheesy thanks, maybe a heart emoji I'd delete when the bottle flew. It was Jamie, one of his firm buddies, 3 sheets to the wind and overhearing my slurred confession to Mia about unrequited bullshit. He'd pieced it together, the drunk logic of straight guys defending territory that wasn't theirs. "You think you can just fuck my best friend like that?" Jamie snarled, hurling the empty at my head. It grazed, not deep, but enough to draw blood and stagger me back against the railing. Eric exploded into motion, shoving Jamie hard enough to send him sprawling. "What the fuck is wrong with you? Get out." The rooftop emptied fast after that, whispers trailing like smoke. Mia dabbed at my cut with a napkin, but I waved her off, eyes locked on Eric as he paced, jaw set like granite. When the last straggler left, it was just us, the wind whipping off the river, carrying the faint salt of the sea. "Nate," he started, voice low, stepping close enough that I could see the pulse jumping in his throat. What Jamie said back there, with Mia. Was it about me? The world narrowed to that question, hanging between us like a live wire. I wiped the blood from my brow, tasting copper on my lips, and met his gaze. Yeah, it was. He flinched like I'd slapped him, but didn't back away. Instead, he reached out, thumb ghosting over the cut, his touch electric. Fuck. I didn't know. Or maybe I did, and I was too chicken shit to face it. The journal slipped from my fingers, pages fluttering in the breeze. In that moment, with the city sprawling endless below, I wondered if the gift wasn't the book at all, but the courage it took him to write those words. And what came next? Hell if I knew. But as his hand lingered on my cheek, warm and tentative, I felt the first crack in the facade we'd built. The straight friend, the safe harbor, was unraveling, and I was diving in headfirst. We didn't kiss that night. Not yet. Eric insisted on getting me home, bundling me into an Uber with the journal clutched like a talisman, his arm slung protectively around my shoulders the whole ride to Brooklyn. The silence was thick, charged, broken only by his occasional mutterings about that asshole Jamie, and promises to ice the cut. At my door, our old door, though he'd moved to a sleek one-bedroom in Chelsea 6 months back, he hovered, like he was memorizing the way the hallway light caught my hair. "Read the rest," he said finally, nodding at the book. "There's more." Then he was gone, vanishing into the elevator with a ghost of his usual grin. I collapsed onto the couch, the apartment echoing with absence, and flipped open the journal. Page after page, in fits and starts dated over months, Eric had poured out fragments. Doubts about his last breakup, the pressure of being the guy at the firm, sketches of buildings that looked suspiciously like the fire escape where we'd shared our first joints. Buried midway was the gut punch. Tonight at the Nail, watching Nate laugh with that actor kid. Felt something twist. Not jealousy, not exactly. Like if I could just... The entry trailed off, ink smudged as if he'd scrubbed it away. My heart hammered, a wild thing caged too long. Was this real, or just a straight guy's midlife curiosity? The kind that flares and fades? I didn't sleep, replaying the rooftop, the blood, his touch. Dawn crept in gray and unforgiving, and by noon, my phone buzzed. Coffee? My treat. Need to talk. We met at our spot, a corner deli on Atlantic Avenue where the espresso was bitter and the croissants flaked onto wax paper. Eric looked wrecked, stubble shadowing his jaw, eyes red-rimmed like he'd matched my insomnia. He slid a paper cup my way, black, no sugar, just how I liked it. "About last night," he started, stirring his own aimlessly. "I meant what I wrote. You're everything, Nate. My constant." I sipped, scalding my tongue, buying time. "And the twist? The something that twisted?" He laughed, short and sharp, rubbing his neck. "Yeah. That. Look, I've dated women. Slept with them. It's fine, great, even. But with you, it's different. Deeper. Scarier." The deli hummed around us. Cabs honking outside, the sizzle of bacon on the grill. I set my cup down, leaning in. "Scary how? Like I want to kiss you. Right here. And not as a bro." The words landed like a punch, stealing my breath. Eric, the guy who'd high-fived me through heartbreaks, was staring at me with hunger I'd only dreamed of. I glanced around, no one watching, just the counter guy yelling orders in Spanglish. "Then do it," I whispered, reckless. He didn't. Not in the deli. But as we walked out into the crisp fall air, leaves skittering along the sidewalk, his hand found mine, fingers lacing tentative. We ended up at Prospect Park, wandering paths lined with ginkgo trees turning gold, talking in circles, his Catholic upbringing in Jersey, my coming out at 16 to parents who hugged me tighter after. By the time we hit the lake, the sun dipping low, he'd pulled me behind a cluster of oaks, and there, with ducks quacking indifference, he kissed me. It was messy, urgent, teeth clacking, breaths mingling hot and sweet with coffee. His hands framed my face, then slid to my waist, pulling me flush against the solid wall of him. I melted, fingers tangling in his hair, tasting salt from last night's tears. When we broke apart, foreheads pressed, he murmured, "Happy birthday, Nate." For real this time. That week blurred into stolen moments. Lunches stretched into afternoons in his office bathroom, quick and fumbling. Nights at my place where we'd cook pasta and watch before sunrise, his head on my lap as I carded through his hair. Eric was a quick study, eager, attentive, mapping my body like one of his blueprints. "Tell me what you like," he'd whisper, voice rough, and I'd guide him, blushing at my own boldness. Felt like coming home, this shift from friends to lovers, the city our conspirator in the secrecy. But secrets fester. At the firm, whispers started, Eric dodging happy hours, showing up with unexplained hickeys under his collar. His ex, Lauren, a sharp-tongued designer from his old circle, cornered me at a gallery opening. "What's your game, Nathaniel?" Stringing him along while he figures out he's not. "You know," I laughed it off, but the barb stuck. Was I? Eric swore no, pulling me into Central Park after dark, vowing, "This is me." No games, yet doubt crept in, a shadow at the edges. Then came the betrayal I never saw coming, not from him, but the one person who'd always had his back. It was Thanksgiving, the air thick with turkey grease and forced cheer, when the hammer dropped. Eric's family had flown in from Short Hills. Mom with her pearl necklace and passive-aggressive jabs. Dad the stoic accountant nursing a scotch. Sister Becca with her toddler in tow. I'd been invited as the roommate from college, a half-truth that chafed like wool. We played it straight. Separate bedrooms in their sprawling Jersey McMansion. Me charming the kid with puppet shows while Eric carved the bird with mechanical precision. That night, after pie and football on TV, I stepped out for air, the backyard lit by strings of Edison bulbs swaying in the chill. Eric followed, handing me a beer from the cooler, his breath fogging between us. "You okay? Mom's been side-eyeing you all night." "She's just protective," I said, clinking bottles. "Thinks I'm a bad influence," he smirked, leaning against the deck rail. If she only knew. Then he kissed me, soft and lingering, the kind that promised more once the house slept. We stole upstairs later, barricading in my guest room, bodies tangling under quilts that smelled of lavender. It was tender, unhurried, him tracing constellations on my skin, me whispering his name like a prayer. "I love you," he said into the dark, the words slipping out unplanned. I froze, then pulled him closer. "Love you too, but love's a fragile thing in a house of mirrors." Becca caught us the next morning, door ajar, Eric's arm draped over me in sleep. She didn't scream, just stared, phone in hand like a weapon. By afternoon, as we packed for the train back to the city, she pulled me aside in the mudroom, eyes hard. "He's confused, Nate. Straight guys have phases. You'll ruin him." Her words echoed Lauren's, a chorus I tried to ignore. Back in Brooklyn, Eric threw himself into a big project, a high-rise for a tech mogul, deadlines bleeding into all-nighters. Our rhythm faltered, texts instead of touches, apologies over takeout. I filled the gaps with additions, landing a gig voicing a side character in an animated series, queer-coded, naturally. Paid the rent, but the isolation gnawed. One night, scrolling X late, I saw it, a post from Jamie, that rooftop prick, tagging Eric in a photo from a firm holiday mixer. Reunited with the king. Lauren's back in the picture? Ice boys night. My stomach dropped. The image showed Eric laughing with her, arms slung casual around her waist. The same grin he'd flashed me that morning. Captioned by someone else. Eric finally making it official again? About time. I waited up, journal open on my lap, penning furious entries he'd never see. He stumbled in at 2 a.m., reeking of bourbon and perfume. Baby mixer, he slurred, collapsing beside me. Boring as hell. With Lauren. My voice was steel. He blinked, sobering fast. Just networking. She's on the team now, transferred firms. Nothing, but the seed was planted. Arguments simmered. Me accusing paranoia, him snapping about trust. Christmas came, a white-knuckle affair. We escaped to his cabin upstate, a family hand-me-down on a frozen lake, wood smoke curling from the chimney. Snow blanketed the pines, muffling the world, and for a weekend, we reclaimed each other. Fireplace sex with rugs burning our knees, hikes where he'd carry me piggyback over drifts, laughing till our sides ached. This is it, he said one night, stars wheeling overhead as we lay on a blanket by the fire pit. You and me against the bullshit. I believed him, tracing the scar on his knuckle from a childhood bike wreck. But reality intruded via email. An invite to his firm's New Year's gala. Black tie. +1s encouraged. Bring me, I urged. As your date. He hesitated, flames dancing in his eyes. It's conservative. Investors. Old money. Maybe next year. The rejection stung. A fresh cut. I went alone to a queer club bash in the village. Glitter and bass thumping. Bodies grinding free of pretense. Hooked up with a dancer named Riley. Tall. Tattooed. Uncomplicated. No strings. Just release. Guilt hit like a hangover, but I confessed over breakfast waffles. Eric's face crumpled. Not rage, but hurt. I get it. I'm dragging my feet. But Nate, I need time. Time became our enemy. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms shedding pink confetti on sidewalks, but our love chilled. He worked obscene hours, the high-rise demanding souls. I booked a lead in an indie film, shooting in Queens, scenes of raw queer longing that bled into my days. We collided in the evenings, him exhausted, me electric, sparks flying wrong. One fight escalated. Me hurling the journal at the wall, pages splaying like wounded birds. You wrote this. You promised truths. He picked them up, voice breaking. I meant it then. But this us, it's scaring the shit out of me. What if I can't be who you need? Then be gone. I shot back, door slamming behind me. I crashed with Mia, chain smoking on her fire escape, replaying every touch, every lie. Days stretched to a week. His texts pleaded, miss you. Therapy appointment tomorrow. Let's talk. I softened, met him at a cafe in Soho, neutral ground. He looked hollowed, but hopeful, sliding a new sketch across the table. A tiny house, 2 figures on the porch, labeled our future. I'm in, he said. All in. No more hiding. Summer bloomed, and so did we. Public dates. Hand-holding at Coney Island. Ferris wheel kisses with the boardwalk roaring below. He came out to Becca over FaceTime, she cried, then hugged the screen. His parents, a bridge for later. Work slowed. The high-rise topped out, a gleaming spire saluting our progress. I wrapped filming, the director gushing about my visceral honesty. Critics would call it prescient. But betrayal doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It whispers in boardrooms, fueled by ambition and fear. Eric's promotion hinged on the gala pitch, a visionary expansion. His baby, Lauren, back as lead designer, saw opportunity. She cornered him after hours, wine-fueled flattery turning to more. I didn't know then, but pieced it from texts Mia hacked one night. For old times. He doesn't have to know. The morning it broke, I was at callbacks for a Broadway understudy, nerves jangling, when my phone lit up, anonymous screenshot, timestamped 3 a.m. Eric's hotel keycard scan at the plaza, Lauren's arm linked in his as they entered. Followed by her post, sealing the deal. Power couple. Rage blinded me. I stormed his office, security buzzing me up, bursting into the conference room mid-meeting. Suits gaped as I flung the phone on the table. Explain this, you coward. Eric paled, rising slow. Nate, it's not. Save it. I turned, the room spinning, execs murmuring like vipers. In the elevator down, sobs racked me, the descent mirroring my fall. He chased me to the street, grabbing my arm. She kissed me, pushed her away. But yeah, I went up. To end it clean. Swear on everything. Liar, I spat, wrenching free. You always choose safe. Traffic snarled. Horns blaring, he shouted after me, voice lost in the din. I vanished into the subway, the journal in my bag a dead weight. Home was a tomb, his clothes still in drawers, cologne on the pillow. I packed a duffel, bound for Mia's, but paused at the door, glimpsing the sketch taped to the fridge, our future. Ripped it down, crumpled it like trust. Weeks blurred, me dodging his calls, throwing into rehearsals for the understudy role, a gay antihero unraveling in love. The stage became catharsis, lines bleeding my pain. Eric tried everything. Flowers at the theater, notes slipped into my locker. I'm sorry. In therapy. Fighting for us. Lauren got ghosted, transferred out amid rumors. But the damage festered, a betrayal not just of body, but of the vulnerability we'd built. One rainy matinee, post-curtain, he waited in the alley, soaked to the bone, eyes pleading under the marquee glow. Nate, please. One chance to fix this. Thunder rumbled, sheets of water sluicing gutters. I stepped close enough to drown in his scent. Why should I? Because I love you. And losing you. It's killing me. The dam broke. I kissed him then, fierce and punishing, rain mingling with tears. We tumbled into his Jeep, steaming windows fogging as hands roamed, reclaiming what was fractured. No more secrets, I gasped, his mouth on my neck. Promise, never again. Fall returned, leaves carpeting Washington Square Park where we walked, hands clasped defiant. He came out at the firm, resignation letters drafted, but support surprised him, a quiet ally in the boss. His parents visited, dinner at my tiny kitchen, awkward silences yielding to questions, then hugs. We love him, Mom said, squeezing my hand. And you, if you make him happy. The journal filled anew, dual entries, his neat blocks beside my scrawl, mapping recovery. But peace is tentative, old wounds scar. A tabloid tease, architect's secret affair. From gala gossip, forced us into damage control, lawyers and PR spins. Eric hardened, retreating to work. I softened into doubt, wondering if love could weather the storm. Winter bit early, snow dusting the bridges like sugar. We planned a getaway, Key West, sun to thaw the chill. Airport bound. His phone buzzed. Dad. Heart attack. We rerouted to Jersey. ICU beeps a grim soundtrack. Eric paced corridors, unraveling. I held him through the night, his sobs soaking my shirt. What if I lose him too? You won't. We're in this. Dawn brought stability, bypass successful. Gruff thanks from a hospital bed. But in the waiting room, Becca pulled me aside, voice low. He told Dad. About us. That's why the attack stress. Guilt crashed over me. I pushed him to. No. He chose. She hugged me fierce. You're family now. Recovery bound us tighter. Holidays at the cabin. Eric's dad grilling steaks with shaky hands. Toasting to second chances. Spring additions bloomed. I landed the lead, not understudy. In a revival of Angels in America, Tony whispers already swirling. Eric design sets pro bono, our worlds converging. Yet climax loomed, unbidden. The tabloid escalated, photos surfacing. That plaza night, grainy but damning, Lauren selling out for spite. Reporters swarmed our stoop, flashes blinding. Eric cracked first. A boardroom meltdown, fists through drywall, screams of I'm gay. Damn it, happy now. The firm suspended him. Headlines screaming outed architect in scandal. I found him in the park. Bench by the Bethesda fountain. Head in hands. Ruined. All of it. I knelt, cupping his face. Rebuilt. With me. He looked up, broken but burning. Yeah, we kissed there. Public and unapologetic. Angels weeping stone above. The storm peaked that night. Paparazzi at the door. Phones exploding. But inside, we anchored. Slow love in lamplight. Vows whispered against skin. Till the skyline falls. Betrayal's echo faded. Replaced by resolve. Humanistic. Messy. Love not as fairy tale, but forge. The scandal hit like a nor'easter. Winds howling through our lives. Uprooting the fragile normalcy we'd clawed back. By morning, Eric's face was everywhere. Grainy shots from the boardroom brawl splashed across the post. Headlines leering straight shooter goes gay. Firm's golden boy implodes. My inbox overflowed. Casting agents hedging on my angel's buzz. Old hookups demang schadenfreude. We hunkered down. Blinds drawn. Ordering tie that grew cold on the counter as we scrolled the carnage. This is my fault, I said, pacing the living room, floorboards creaking under socked feet. Pushing you out before you were ready. Eric, sprawled on the couch with a beer, shook his head. Nah. Lauren's the viper. And me, for not shutting it down harder. He pulled me down, tucking me against his chest, heartbeat steady under my ear. We'll weather it. Like that hurricane in 22. Remember, you and me, candles and bad decisions. I chuckled despite the knot in my gut, nuzzling his neck. But sleep evaded. At 3 a.m., he slipped out to the fire escape, chain-smoking Camels like it was college. I joined him, wrapped in his hoodie, The city a glittering accusation below. What's the play? I asked, stealing a drag. Lawyers tomorrow. Sue for defamation. And I'm done hiding. Full press conference. Maybe. Rip the Band-Aid. Bravery suited him. That jaw-set determination I'd fallen for on a dorm room floor. We prepped with his therapist, a no-nonsense dyke named Carla who chain-smoked vapes and called bullshit unfiltered. Own the narrative, she coached. You're not victims, you're survivors. The presser was a circus. Midtown hotel ballroom. Mics bristling like porcupine quills. Reporters salivating. Eric stood tall in a tailored navy suit. Me at his side in slim black. Hand brushing his for solidarity. I'm gay, he stated, voice rock steady. Have been, in ways I was too scared to admit. Nathaniel's my partner, my love. The rest, slander from a bitter ex-colleague. We're suing, and we're moving forward. Questions pelted. When did you know? Is this a phase? Firm fallout? We fielded as a team, I quipping about Angel's irony. Him detailing the project's genius sans drama. Flashes popped. Carla nodded from the wings. Walking out, arm in arm, he whispered, that felt free. Freedom's price tag arrived swift. Suspension turned termination. The firm citing disruptive conduct. Severance cushioned the blow. But job hunts soured, interviews polite, then silence. Too much baggage, he muttered over resume tweaks, the laptop's glow hollowing his cheeks. I threw into Angels, rehearsals a lifeline, Prior Walter's fury mirroring my own, Eliza's wisdom a bomb. Opening night loomed, previews electric. Eric attended the first, front row, eyes shining through tears as I monologued about plagues and prophecies. Backstage, roses in hand, he crushed me in a hug. You're a goddamn star. The reviews gushed. Hayes Channel's raw vulnerability. A revelation. Tony nods trickled in. Doors creaking open. But Eric stalled. Freelance sketches piling unpaid. Tension simmered. Me late from cast parties. Him solitary with blueprints and bourbon. One night, post-Angel's afterglow, I found him at the kitchen table. Lauren's email open. Offer. Partner track at my new firm. Leave the drama. We both know you're better than this. Rage flared. You're considering it? He sighed, closing the lid. Money talks, Nate. Bills don't care about pride. And us? Collateral? The fight erupted. Accusations flying me selfish. Chasing spotlight. Him retreating to straight safety. Plates shattered. I stormed out, hailing a cab to Mia's. Rain lashing windows like accusations. Her couch swallowed me. Tears soaking flannel. He's scared, she soothed. Brewing chamomile. Betrayal's a boomerang. Dawn brought clarity. A text from Becca. Dad's pushing Eric to man up. Come for brunch, family intervention. Jersey traffic crawled. Autumn leaves swirling like confetti for a funeral. The McMansion hummed domestic. Pancakes sizzling. Toddler giggling. Eric's dad, recovering robust, clapped my shoulder. Heard about the hullabaloo. Proud of you boys. Over coffee. Truth spilled. Eric admitting the email temptation. Fear of failure eclipsing love. I can't lose you, but I can't drag you down. I countered fierce. We're a team. Sink or sail. His mom, quiet till then, spoke. Love's not easy. Mine and Frank's? wars. But we chose daily. Becca nodded, sharing her own marriage wobbles. By mimosas, resolve hardened, Eric deleting the email, vowing indie routes, queer-owned firms, passion projects. Back in the city, reconciliation burned slow, make-up sex raw and reclaiming, then talks till dawn. He landed a gig, renovating a Harlem community center, pro bono turning paid. I dedicated a performance to him, ad-libbing a line that drew gasps. In the ashes of betrayal, love rebuilds, queerer, stronger. But conflict escalated external. Lauren sued back, countersued alleging harassment, twisting our night into assault narrative. Depositions dragged, lawyers dissecting texts, her crocodile tears for the judge. Media feasted, gay love triangle turns toxic. Protests erupted outside the theater. Pickets waving boycott haze, hate mail flooded. Slurs scrawled on posters, death threats voicemailed. Eric shielded me, screening calls, walking me to stage door. "Their noise," he'd say, kissing my knuckles. But cracks showed, nightmares jolting him awake, fists clenched against phantoms. Therapy doubled. Carla prescribed meds, grounding the anxiety. Climax crested at the Tony Awards nomination night, red carpet glare. We went as dates, him in velvet blazer, me shimmering emerald. Cameras swarmed, questions barbed. Scandal still stinging? Eric deflected smooth. Love's the real award. Inside, the ceremony dazzled. Angel sweeps. My win announced to thunderous applause. On stage, speech trembling. To Eric, my rock in the plague. And to every queer kid hiding journals, come out. The world's waiting, messy as it is. Backstage chaos. Confetti raining. Hugs from idols. But joy shattered, Lauren's ambush. Lurking in the green room, mic in hand for a tell-all pod. Nathaniel Hayes, homewrecker? She sneered, live streaming to thousands. Fury propelled me. I snatched the phone, voice booming. Homewrecker? You chased a man in love, then torched his life for clicks. We're done being prey. Security hauled her. The stream cut, but clips viralized me unbowed. Eric bursting in to pull me close. Hashtags flipped. Stand with Hayes queer power. The fallout? Her suit crumbled. Perjury exposed via timestamps. Settlement silenced her. The firm rehired Eric. Quietly, with back pay. But victory tasted bittersweet. Trust's fracture lingering. A scar tissue tenderness. Summer festivals called. Fire Island weekends. Bonfires and boys in Speedos. Eric loosening in the salt air. He sketched beach cabanas. I scripted a one-act about us Journal of U.S. Workshopped at La Mama. Audiences wept. Producers buzzed. Yet internal storm brewed. My stardom ascending. His steadying. Jealousy nipped. Me at galas sans him. Him eyeing solo travels. Don't drift. We'd whisper post-fights. Bodies entwined. Fall brought the peak. Becca's wedding. Vineyard in Napa. We flew west. First class. Toasting with champagne. Vows exchanged under oaks. Eric's hands sweaty in mine. Reception danced till dawn. Him twirling me to at last. Whispering. Marry me? Not now. But someday. Tears pricked. I nodded. Breathless. But betrayal's ghost resurfaced. Jamie, invited as old friend, cornered Eric at the bar. Still playing both sides? Slurred challenge led to shoves. I intervened, fist connecting with jaw. Chaos, security, apologies, Becca's glare. Hotel room after. I saw knuckles. Eric bandaged my hand. My hero, he teased, but eyes shadowed. Jamie's wrong. But am I enough? With your lights. My blueprints. Always. Kiss deepened, but doubt seeded. Return east. Angels tour beckons. National. 6 months. Go, he urged. Shine, but goodbye at JFK wrenched. Hugs prolonged. Tears hot. Call every night. Separation tested. Time zones mangling. Texts terse. Whispers from cast. A flirty co-star. My exhaustion-fueled slip at a Chicago bar. Nothing but guilt gnawed. Eric's voice cracked on calls. Miss you. Firm's drama. New partners a shark. Mid-tour crisis. His dad relapsed. Minor but hospital-bound. I flew back mid-run. Angels dark one night. ICU vigil, monitors beeping. Eric's head on my lap. Couldn't do this without you. Recovery rallied. Tour resumed. But homecoming loomed fraught. Holidays alone? No, we planned Christmas in the cabin. Snowshoeing resolutions. December blanketed the Adirondacks in hush. The cabin a warm bubble against the freeze. Fire crackling. Mulled wine steaming. Our laughter echoing off log walls. Eric strung lights on the tree. A lopsided spruce we'd chopped ourselves. Ornaments clinking like wind chimes. I baked gingerbread, botching the icing into abstract art. He pretended gourmet, feeding me bites with honeyed fingers. That night, under quilts heavy as promises, he traced my spine, voice low. Tour stories spill. That co-star give you trouble? I propped on elbow, firelight gilding his lashes. Jealous, teasing, but probing the undercurrent. A bit, honesty, raw. You're out there, conquering. I'm here. I kissed his doubt away. Bodies aligning familiar, slow builds to shattering peaks. Sweat slick and sacred. You're my North Star. Boxing Day brought snowstorm stranding. We played cards by candlelight. Forfeits turning playful. Strip poker yielding to tickle fights. Ending tangled on the rug. Phone buzzed midway. Tony afterparty invite. LA. Go, he said again. I'll hold the fort. Reluctance tugged. But ambition whispered. I jetted west. Glitz assaulting. Palm line drives. Celebs air kissing. Angels dominated me clutching gold. Speech thanking the man who gifted me courage. Cut to Eric. Beaming from home stream. But post-win haze. Parties blurring. A director's flirtation over tequila. You're electric, Nate. Ditch the baggage. Dawn flight back. Guilt co-pilot. Eric met at arrivals. Sign scrawled Starboy returns. Grin faltering at my pallor. Rough night. Hangover. And almost kissed a guy. Stopped myself. Truth serum. Tour weary. His face shuddered. Then softened. Proud you did. But talk me through the almost. Kitchen confessional. The pull of anonymity. Spotlight's loneliness. He listened. No judgment. Then, I get it. Firm's holiday bash. I danced with a client. Nothing, but felt the spark. We're human. Vulnerability bridged. We vowed check-ins. Boundaries drawn. Winter thawed to Valentine's. Eric surprise. Central Park ice rink. Rented private. Skate by Debbie Boone crooning. He wobbled, me steadying, laughter freezing on lashes. Dinner at 1 if by land, candlelit whispers of forever. Ring soon, he promised. Box glimpsed in pocket, tease or truth. Spring equinox aligned fortunes. My film premiered at Tribeca. Queer romance hailed tender triumph. Eric's community center unveiled. Ribbon cut by mayor, murals of intertwined hands. We attended tandem, red carpet to groundbreaking, hands clasped for paps. Power duo, headlines cooed, scandal dust settled. But undercurrent stirred, his exes orbiting. Lauren recanted publicly, mea culpa op-ed in out. But Becca warned, mom's old friend matchmaker, pushing setups. Old habits, I brushed off, but paranoia nipped. One night, post-rehearsal for Journal of Us off-Broadway run, I tailed him irrational, born of a delayed text. Spotted at the Rusty Nail, Jamie's arm around him, shots lined up. Heart plummeted, I bolted before confrontation. Home alone, pacing, journal open to his old entries, twist in my gut. Door flew open, Eric, disheveled, Jamie trailing apologetic. Nate wait, with him, after everything, intervention. He's struggling addiction, coming out mess. I was supporting, not, save the savior complex, words venomous, rooted in fear. Jamie slunk out, Eric advanced, hurt etching lines. You don't trust me. Can you blame me? Betrayals stack like Jenga, one pull, collapse. He recoiled, then rallied. Then let's rebuild. Therapy together. Couple sessions with Carla. Excavating layers, his internalized homophobia, my abandonment scars from a high school ghosting. Exercises, daily gratitudes, shared journals. Progress palpable, date nights intentional, vulnerability volleys. Summer solstice festival, governor's ball, us backstage with indie acts. He crowd-surfed. I motioned, bodies slick. Post-show loft party. Rails avoided, but joints passed. Giggles hazy. In the rooftop tub, city sprawl below. He proposed on one knee in bubbles. Ring simple platinum band. Marry me, Nathaniel Hayes. Make the stories real. Tears mixed with foam. Yes sobbed out. Engagement buzzed. Mia squealing. Becca planning. Parents toasting via Zoom. His folks tearful. Mine beaming son-in-law. But Joy's shadow, wedding whispers turned public. Paparazzi resurgence. From friend to fiancé, the full timeline. Old flames interviewed, Lauren contrite. A college hookup spilling tea. Pressure mounted. Venue hunts in Hudson Valley. Guest lists ballooning. Fall foliage framed the crunch. Journal of U.S. Opens to raves. Sold out houses. Eric's firm poaches him back. Lead on a queer art center poetic. But late nights clashed. My curtain calls. His deadlines. Fights flickered, me accusing neglect. Him burnout. Climax detonated at the rehearsal dinner site scout. Vineyard overlooking Hudson. Vines heavy with promise. Becca's venue contact? Jamie's aunt. Awkward, but buried. Tour complete. We arrived giddy, Prosecco popping. But mid-toast, phone alarm, Becca's text, emergency. Call now. Eric's dad. Stroke. Massive. I see you again. Flight delayed by storm. We white-knuckle drives, arriving to beeps and tubes. Prognosis poor, Doc said. Eric shattered, collapsing into me. Not like this. Not now. Vigil blurred days. Family rotations. Prayers murmured. I recited angels' monologues softly. Prior's defiance a talisman. Becca confessed. Dad knew about the wedding. Was coming out to Mom. Full support. Night 3. Monitors flatline. Code blue whales. Eric lunged forward. Dad, fight! But peace claimed him. Hand limp in hours. Funeral Jersey Chapel. Snow dusting graves, eulogies choked. Eric's voice breaking on family redefined. Aftermath avalanche. Estate wrangles. Grief's raw edge. Eric withdrew. Blueprints abandoned. Whiskey bottles multiplying. Can't design without him, he'd mutter, staring at walls. Anchored. Canceling journal extension. Force-feeding meals. Therapy fractured him open. Betrayed by fate. Just when we had it. Spring bloomed tentative. Memorial garden planted. Lilacs his dad's favorite. We leaned into wedding plans. Dates pushed to fall, catharsis needed. Venue locked. That vineyard. Defiant. But betrayal's final twist. Probate reveals codicil. Dad's will. Gifting Eric the cabin. But with clause. To my son and his true love build legacy. Not facades. Attached letter. I saw the journal. Son. Proud. Be brave. Tears cathartic. Eric surfaced. Sketching pavilion additions. He knew. Summer wedding prep crescendo. Suits tailored. Vows penned. Rehearsal eve. Jamie crashes, sober now. Amends sought. I was poison. Forgive. Eric hugs him. I nod stiff. Growth's grace. The day dawns golden. Vineyard aisles lined petals. String quartet hallelujah. Guests mingle queer icons. Theater fam. His mom's book club. I wait at altar. Heart thunder. Eric strides. Eyes locked. Becca beaming maid of honor. Vows exchange. Mine poetic. From rooftop blood to this bloom love's plot twist. His gruff, you unwrote my straight script. Forever co-author. Kiss seals. Cheers erupt. Fireworks over Hudson. Reception dances. Father-daughter morphs brother-groom. Toasts roast scandals turn triumphs. Honeymoon Key West. Beaches blinding. Conch fritters. Sunset sails. In hammock sway. He murmurs. Human. Huh? Messy masterpiece. I trace his ring. Our best act. Post-honeymoon glow lingered like sea salt on skin. But reality's tide pulled us under swift. Back in Brooklyn. Boxes unpacked from the cabin inheritance. Dad's tools. Faded photos. A hidden stash of Playgirl mags that had us howling through tears. Eric dove into the Art Center project. Vision expanding. Not just walls, but galleries for queer artists. A stage for stories like ours. I greenlit journal film adaptation. Scripting our truth anonymized, hooked on that rooftop shatter. Domesticity settled. Sunday markets for heirlooms tomatoes. Movie marathons with popcorn fights. But scars itched. Anniversary of the scandal. Tabloids dredging 1 year later. Gay icons' turbulent triumph? We laughed it off over brunch. But Eric's grip tightened on his mug. Think it'll ever fade? Like bruises, I said, kissing his temple. Tender. Then memory. Humanistic threads wove deeper. Mentoring at NYU. Guest lectures on coming out in the spotlight. Kids wide-eyed. Journals gifted echoes of ours. Becca announced pregnancy. We cooed over ultrasounds. Eric's hand on her belly. whispering uncle vibes. Yet conflict simmered subtle, my star ascending journal script sales, talk show circuits while his center hit snags, funding cuts from conservative donors sniffing agenda, late dinners turned interrogations. Another red eye to LA? He'd ask, fork scraping plate. Not forever, I'd soothe, but absences accumulated. One shoot in Vancouver dragged, rainy weeks, flirty crew, isolation emails, miss your laugh. Send nudes? Playful, but lonely. Homecoming surprise, cabin weekend, but he greeted hollow-eyed, blueprints crumpled. Lost a grant. Boards balking, too political. I pulled him to bed. Distractions anatomical, his moans a temporary salve. Morning hike revealed the rift. You're gone more than here. He confessed, breath-fogging pines. Careers peaking. Yours will too. But us? Fading to background. Therapy reboot. Carla's office. Plants drooping like our resolve. Resentment's a thief, she warned. Homework. Weekly us nights. Phones off. It worked. Patches. Pottery class disasters. Laughter in clay splatters. Stargazing rooftops. Tracing myths in constellations. Fall theater season beckoned. Angels revival. Me directing. Casting Eric's input. But egos clashed. More grit, he'd urge. Trust the text. I'd snap. Opening night gala. Sold out. Critics rapt. After party swirl. Me networking. Him nursing club soda alone. A producer sidled. Your hubby's brooding. Trade up. I shut it down. But seed planted. Home. Buzzed. I confronted. Felt sidelined tonight. He laughed bitter. Story of us. You're the lead. I'm ensemble. Hurt ricocheted. Sleep separate. Dawn mediation. Coffee black. Apologies bitter. I see you, I vowed. Always. Winter solstice brought pivot. Center's breakthrough. Anonymous donor. Queer philanthropist. 6 figures wired. Groundbreaking bash. Hammers swinging. Toasts to resilience. Eric shone. Mic in hand. This space? For the Nathaniels and Erics betrayed. Beloved. Unbreakable. Crowd roared. I teared up stage side. Pride swelling. Post-event. Donor reveal his mom. Pearls swapped for rainbow pin. Frank would have loved this, she said, hugging fierce. Spring renewal. Becca's baby shower. Us doting uncles-to-be. My directorial debut bowed. Angels reimagined urban. Diverse cast killing it. Reviews. Hayes evolves from actor to auteur. Profound. But climax crested personal. Fertility talks. Casual over mimosas. Adopt, he mused. Or surrogacy. Build our story. Excitement fizzed. Agencies consulted. Profiles crafted. Waitlists loomed. But hope anchored. Summer heatwave tested LA. Pilot pitch recurring gay architect. Meta wink. Eric encouraged. Go slay. But goodbye lingered, airport kiss desperate. 6 weeks max. Set life charmed. Script tweaks. Chemistry reads. Co-star Alex. Charming Brit. Dry wit bonded over craft services. Late calls turn drinks. Your Eric sounds solid, he'd say. Mine? X's like landmines. Harmless. Till script intimacy amped. Love scene. Choreographed but charged. Director called cut. Alex lingered close. Method acting? Pulse raced. I pulled back. Hotel call to Eric. Miss you. Seen today. Felt weird. Jealous. Teasing. But edged. A bit. Echoed his old line. Trust wobbled. Texts sharpened. Homebound. Confession spilled. Almost kissed him. Stopped. Like you taught. Silence stretched. Then, proud. But hurts. Couples crash. He flew out. Hotel confrontation raw. Tears. Accusations. Makeup fierce on silk sheets. No more almosts, he growled. Marking skin. Promise. Fall harvest. Adoption match. Toddler boy. Foster shuffle weary. Home visit prepped. Nursery painted sage. Bookshelves stocked. First meeting agency playroom. Wide eyes. Tentative hug. Papa? He lisped. Finger in Eric's beard. Heart melt. Paperwork flew. Naming Jasper Frank nod to ghosts. Parenthood appended. Sleepless nights. Diaper dashes. Eric's lullabies gravelly sweet. Center opening coincided. Ribbon cut with jazz on hip. Flashbulbs popping. Architect Dad's legacy launch. But betrayal's echo. Jamie relapse. Wedding invite declined. But plea call. Help me. Man. Eric sponsored. Meetings attended. Boundaries blurred? I fretted. But he assured. Not at our expense. Holiday circuit. Cabin with in-laws. Jazz toddling snowmen. Becca's birth. Girl cousin. Double uncle duty. New Year's Eve. Rooftop toast. Journal passed. To chapters closed. New pages. Resolution humanistic. No tidy bow. Scars fade. But twinge in storms. Eric's center thrives. Exhibits rotating. Our journal facsimile. Anonymized. Draws tears. My film stream. Awards shelf dusted. Jasper's firsts. Steps to us. Words mangled love you. One anniversary. Cabin firelit. Jazz asleep upstairs. Eric pulls me dancing. Slow sway to Springsteen. Unbelievable. Huh? From that gift. I grin. Nuzzling. Best plot twist. Outside. Snow falls soft city distant. Us eternal. Love dramatic. Emotional. Romantic. Flawed. Forgiven. Forever.